Do you love breakdowns? Do you need stats? Do you crave insight? Download the AllStar app. UFC, Bellator, PFL 1 Championship, and more. Ad-free, fully customizable. Download the best app in the business. Link in descriptions. And I was flipping and flopping, you know what I mean? Like I interviewed so many people, like coaches, fighters, talking about this fight and what to expect, and no one knows what to expect, right? Everybody just has their
Mm,
inclinations,
mm.
everybody has their emotional ties with one fighter or another, or like they must have a hatred towards somebody, or maybe they just dislike their style, whatever, right? And I flipped and flopped so much in these videos. Like I would be talking to you, and we'd be talking about one thing, and I talk about somebody else, and I'm talking about another thing. But at the end of the day, this was one of the ways that how this fight was going to end up. Right? Was Islam coming out, striking a little bit, and then taking it to the ground, controlling him, beating him up, softening up, and then going for the submission. Right? I don't think Islam was ever going to get a knockout. You know what I mean? I don't think that was going to happen. But yeah, it just played out perfectly, and Charles just got too comfortable on his back. I think, like, he kind of sat there and didn't really have an answer for Islam. Islam, he threw up that submission, and people are saying like that first round was competitive, but I don't know if that first round was competitive. I think I think Islam did what he wanted to do, and then he went to the second round and finished the fight. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, that's essentially what happened. Like for mine, it was a highlighting of what I've kind of leant towards in like Oliveira's run is that he's a like phenomenal athlete and he's in like a good place right now and he's preparing like incredibly well. Um, Physically, I just feel like like a few of those fights you could see like a visible and it really shone itself clear in this fight. It was like a tactical failure. Like even in like those last few fights that he's fought out and been the Poirier and that when he goes out or in the Chandler where he like gets dropped and then comes back like it's that's just his physicality, his athleticism and his self belief is through the roof, right? Like it's in the stratosphere, like his belief in himself, and that's what's got him to this position and had him the title for this long and made the end of this run so phenomenal. But it really highlighted this fight was like a tactical failure. That his real tactics in those fights and his tactics in this fight were not there. Like him thinking that his belief in himself and his physicality would overcome Islam. Um, he just walked into range. He thought he could just walk into range and eat the shots of Islam, but he couldn't, right? Like Islam caught him with a few of those punches and was able to drop him and then get the takedowns. I feel like if he would have kept this distance a little more, like not pressured into range and just kind of let Islam, like essentially, if you pressure in like that, it's like essentially letting Islam hit him. Like he should have been a bit more tactical on the feet. Um, and that would have made like Islam shoot from a little further out. And then what happens when someone shoots from a little further out? You get to set your frames and set your defense and makes those submission attempts a little easier to set up and to process. So yeah, for mine it was a tactical failure for Oliveira and a real highlight. And yeah, really Islam. It was just a fight which Islam shone in. Like he was just really able to shine in this fight.
Yeah, it was incredible, man. Like he had what he wanted to do in his mind, and I'm pretty sure Habib told him and was reminding him the whole time leading up to the fight, this is what you need to do, and this is how you're gonna win the fight, and it's gonna work out just exactly like I tell you. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. And the thing is,
It
like,
was a it was a very cool moment. Like that
yeah,
me as a to sit back and watch that and from Khabib winning the title and Khabib's father passing away and then his favorite student Islam winning the title with Khabib coaching like that that I could see how special that moment was, and you could really like appreciate that as a fan, and you can be happy for their team. Yeah, you can like really be happy for their team as a fan. Like you can, people can have their own like emotional, personal opinion. Oh, I picked you picked on, and you know they want to rub it in. But it's like you can think what you want to think or say what you want to say, and then the complete opposite thing happens, and you can still be enjoy it and be happy for it and appreciate the moment for what it is. It doesn't have to be as a fan like a win lose situation
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah, it's great to see that, you know what I mean? And now they get to kind of like move on from it, you know, that part of the story is kind of ended, and now they could kind of like Islam could kind of be in his own. You know what I mean? I don't think he needs to be tied in with that
Mm-hmm.
anymore, right? He could like grow his legacy on his own name, you know what I mean? Like he's Islam Makhachev. Now it's him. Now his title reign starts, and and I can't wait to see his next fight, man. Like this dude is like other guys in the division, they're looking at him and now he's the champ. So now they're thinking, okay, we got to get to this point and we got to beat this guy. Now this is the guy that I need to fight and watch his fights and see how he reacts. Like I think you could read a lot of like of what Islam is improving upon in this fight, what he did to Charles, right? Like especially on the feet. Like I don't think a lot of people expected him to stand on the feet and kind of exchange with them like he did, but he did really well. Like it showed
Mm.
another wrinkle in his arsenal, man. Like if he could round out his striking to the point where he did what he did to Charles to everybody else, man, it's tough to beat that style, right? That skill set. It's just there's a lot of factors, right, in fighting, and we got that into effect as well. Like we don't know what Charles was dealing with ahead of this fight. He had like 50 people with him. Like I don't know if that was a kind of a weird thing too, right? You remember like when he was that picture that he had where like they were all surrounding him and he was like laying on the floor, and it's like it looked like a seance for like some cult or something. Like they were like
Yeah. It's that's like yeah, that's like funny because everyone's different when they
yeah.
cut weight, right? Like I'll do it like we're chilling in the hotel, like like weigh-ins in like 4 or 5 hours. Like I'll just take off by myself. Like that's how like I like to do it. I'll just like grab my towel, um, put some sweet sweat on, and I'll just like go to the sauna by myself and like sit there for a bit, and like I'll sweat it out by myself. So it's like it's cool to see everyone's like different approach, and you could see it on like Charles' walkout. It's like very cool. He stopped every person with blonde hair that he saw. He went and dabbed up and hugged and got the energy from that. So it's cool to see like his approach. It's cool to see um, how in sync his team is and how well they, how much they support him and get around him and share their energy with him. It was a very cool thing to see.
Yeah, yeah, the energy, man. He had his energy, and then Islam had his energy, man, with his team, because they roll deep out there. You know, what I mean, I don't think they realize how
Mm,
deep, like Islam and Habib and his team. There's guys that probably just are living out there. You know, what I mean, that's part of their crew. But yeah, the energies came together, man, and Islam just performed on that night. I think Charles will be back. Charles will be we got Fiziev calling out Charles, saying like he'd go to Brazil and fight him in Rio, man. I think that's a great fight. I think that's
that's
a
a
fight
great
they
fight.
should yeah, that's a great fight they need to
It's
put
a great
together.
fight.
And I think Charles will fight him.
Yeah, like that's there's plenty of fights. Like I think Charles could headline the next pay per view for something. Like he's not. Yeah, like we've seen him low before, and we've seen him come back. You know what I mean? Like we know he's capable of coming back now. Like I definitely feel like he's a different beast now. Like he's improved the mistakes he was making in the past. Um, and I feel like like we don't know the situations going on. Like he did go to his hometown and he traveled and we don't know the situations that he was under coming into this fight. But yeah, still like he's still just a beast. Like Charles Oliveira, he's still a very difficult person to get the best of.